Well, tonight should feed you. If you're a CFL fan, the draft, our director of scouting, Craig Smith, joins us. Smitty's been around the draft table for a couple of decades in the 3-down game. And Smitty, hey, can you just speak about what the GMs and personnel people are going through here today and tonight? It's like their Super Bowl, right?
Absolutely. It would be pretty calm right now. Everybody, like the old saying, the hay is in the barn. And, they've got a pretty good idea, indication of who they want. A lot of people, they do a pyramid with guys at the start and go down. But, everybody's ready. Everybody's calm. Everybody's just waiting for the draft. This is, that song at Christmas time, it's the most wonderful time of the year. Well, that's what this is. With the NFL draft just wrapping up and the CFL draft, I just love it. I'm so excited for tonight.
For sure, and TSN's got it 7 p.m. Eastern. And here's the thing for our viewers that are new. Craig Smith scouted, coached with the Lions, Ticats, Blue Bombers, Rough Riders, and, of course, UBC where you coached. Did I miss anybody in the CFL there, Smitty?
No, 4
I think
teams.
I got it.
Yep. So very, very, very lucky.
I don't know where you fall on this. So I see 3-Down Nation this morning's the mock draft from John Hodge has Terrell Jana going number 1 overall, receiver out of Virginia to the Tiger Cats. And then he's got Jake Burt, the Boston College receiver who was born in Regina, raised in Boston, going to the Rough Riders number 2. I think Saskatchewan's going to take Nelson Lacombo. Any idea out of the U of S Husky linebacker? How do you think the front draft of this thing's going to shake down tonight?
It's really hard to say because everybody had a draft last year that wasn't used. And all those guys are most likely ready to go. They didn't get injured. They didn't play themselves out of a job. So they're coming into a situation. And everybody's probably feeling pretty good, to get going without this draft. So now who knows what's going to happen. I mean, this is the strangest draft that the Canadian Football League will have because of that. And, somebody could be taking a future pretty early. I know that futures are guys who have been drafted, and I know that probably is going to happen. Terrell Jana, a receiver, he's such a solid, reliable receiver. He's not real explosive, but he's a guy that can definitely have some really good success in the Canadian Football League. There's a possibility certainly at Hamilton. And Nelson, I like Nelson. I mean, back in 2018, when I was, just recovering and I was on a steroid to give me strength, I was in a press box watching Nelson, and he had a huge play, interception for a touchdown, showed speed. He's certainly a guy that could be possibly a guy. There's other guys that I really like. Ben Platt, a kid from UBC. He's a linebacker that tested just crazy. And my philosophy is obvious. And then you're looking at linebacker, defensive back, possibly running back to help out in special teams, and then develop and down the road, become a starter. And Ben fits that. He ran a 4.66 bench. He benched 29 for a linebacker. I mean, that's more than some of the O linemen on there. So. He's certainly a possibility, in one of those picks. I like that guy.
I was going to sprinkle in some viewer comments and questions here from Larry Schwenke. The pool master writes on Facebook, sorry, I'm one of the CFL fans that has no interest in the NFL. If there's no CFL game on the tube on Sunday, then I go outside to do something in my yard. I will be following the draft tonight, and am waiting patiently for the new schedule to come out. I did see a snippet of Draft Talk on SportsCenter with Farhan, who predicted, Craig, and I want your take on this, that because of the unpredictability of the players and the old film and the challenges that are going into selecting tonight, that you might see the big names go off the board earlier. The Chuba Hubbards, the Josh Palmers, the Jevon Hollands. Do you go along with that line of thinking?
Yeah, that's kind of what I mentioned. I think some of those kids that got drafted, and there was 4 that got drafted. There was 4 that were undrafted free agents, and there could be more, but those are the 4 that I know. Some of those kids could definitely be drafted higher than normal. A lot of times the philosophy is to get a kid that's going to come in and contribute, and let's take a flyer on a kid that is going to go down to the NFL. He may not he may not be there long. He may. And, I've been in draft rooms where we've done that, where we've drafted a guy and we never ever saw him. But we've also, like Jeff Gray from Winnipeg, I remember going to see him at Green Bay's training camp, and, he was doing good, but he got let go. He came back to Winnipeg, and now he's a Winnipeg Blue Bomber. So, there's, you can certainly get, and like I said the other day, Chuba, I would take Chuba. It could be down the road, but he may never come up here. But hey, why not take especially this year? Like I said, last year they've got a draft class. Now they're just adding to the guys, and they don't know about the numbers coming to training camp, so that could be an issue as well.
Murph said that last week on the show, but let me see if I got this right. You nailed Chase Claypool going in the second round last year of the NFL draft. You had that right. You said Jevon Holland would be the highest Canadian taken this year, and you're right. But I think you said you wouldn't draft Chase Claypool last year. But you would draft Chuba Hubbard now?
Yeah, and the reason is Claypool, I think his ability was just so outstanding. I thought that there's a chance that he would, get there and stay there. And I'll tell you, I never thought he was going to be as good as he was. He was outstanding. He was just lights out. And Chuba could do the same thing, but I later on in the draft, I would take Chuba for sure.
The Bomber fans watching want to know who you think the Bombers will take number 3 overall.
Well, good question. They just in stuff, doing research, they were talking about defensive backs, the possibility of needing a defensive back. So that could be a possibility. And it depends on what happens with Nelson at number 2. If they take Nelson, that could be. But think about special teams. They drafted a few years ago a kid from Laval who made a huge tackle in the Western Final when they had that trick play. And I can't remember the kid's name, but he was from Laval. He's a linebacker that can run. Well, there's Halata could be a perfect spot for Winnipeg to take him because of his ability to run, ability to play on special teams. They're pretty solid. Now, the other thing is, and I mentioned this, to people, I think Kyle Borsa is going to get drafted, and not necessarily up there. But, Winnipeg might be a spot. They've got a Canadian running back there. They've got another kid from UND that was there that got hurt. How is he going to come back? He's had a lot of time to rehab. And then, of course, Johnny Augustine, who ran well when he had that opportunity. But Canadian running backs, if Andrew goes down, they certainly need that. And Borsa is a kid. I seen him in 2018, and I liked him at that time. I thought, man, this kid, he catches the ball. He looks like he's an instinctive type runner. He's a big, strong kid. He tested crazy, made a mistake. And, hopefully he's learned from it. And if he has, I think he could have a pretty darn good career. So who knows? That's the thing. Everybody's draft room is different. And I don't know how many times we sat in that room and somebody's taken and everybody's going, wow, never thought he would be taken. I don't know if we were right. I can't remember. But, and same within the NFL draft. You take a look at the top 32. When I was sitting here having just such a great time, I don't know how many times I said, wow, how about that? How about that decision that they made? Not that they're bad decisions, but they made a decision to go with this guy. I think of, Panay when Cincinnati didn't take him and they went with Chase, who's a fantastic pick. But Panay is a guy that could have protected the quarterback. So, you just never know what's going to happen in the draft.
Chris Robinson writes in from Kingston, says the Sporting News has Chuba at number 5 tonight to Edmonton. Is that too high? I don't think it's too high. Calvin McCarty just retired there. They got a spot for a Canadian running back. Not that they've really used Calvin as a feature back, but you know what I'm saying. There's a spot there, I think, for him in Edmonton. Here's a good question. Mike Lee, Mighty L. Mike, says, do teams take into consideration the players' agents when drafting? You've been at the table, Smitty. How would you answer that?
Yes. There was one agent in particular and I won't get into it. But yeah, there was one that was a difficult. I never dealt with the fellow, it can happen where you can definitely stay away. But at the same time, if an agent that you have difficult time with has a good player and you need it, you're going to take them. And the CFL's the CFL. I mean, there's only so much money that you can give, and it's not like they have a structure in rookies coming in, so it's a little different now. But if a guy is a good player and you need him, you're going to take him.
By the way, Mydale Mike is my seatmate at Pat's game, Smitty. So listen, let's hold each other to this. Because you always said you wanted to go for lunch with my dad, and it never happened before he passed, right? To talk personnel stuff. So I'll bring you to a Pat's game. You bring Kathy. We'll sit with Mydale Mike because he'll have a lot of questions for you. And I know that I know you'll enjoy answering them. Everybody's talking about Kyle Borsa. I'm just going to say this. And listen, I love the kid. I interviewed him on the weekend. And I just don't think he's going to get drafted. He's not in the top 20 prospects. He's not the highest rating running back. But I think before he goes to bed tonight, Craig, he will have a tryout and potentially a deal. I think he could be another Rob Bagg, another Neil Hughes. That's just what I'm saying. But that's a reason why I'm watching the draft tonight. That's one of the reasons why I'm watching a draft, because you know these kids. Anything specific for you that you're going to be watching for tonight, Craig, or are you just going to sit back and take it all in?
Well, yeah, specifically, obviously I got a list of guys that, that I've been kind of monitoring. And so I want to see where some of these kids go. Some kids that have played NCAA football that are ready to go. Guys like Daniel Joseph, who played at Penn State and you started at Penn State and went to NC State. And, where are guys like that going? There's specific guys that are going to happen. Hey, what about the Lestage, the kid from Montreal? I was watching some film on that kid, and holy cow! I can see why they signed him in the NFL in Seattle. He's a solid offensive lineman. Now, who's going to take him? So each guy I'll be looking at and saying, okay, where's this guy going to go? How about this guy? I just wanted to mention Dean Leonard, a kid that you remember, Kenton Leonard. I'm not sure if you would remember him.
Yes,
but yeah, okay, defensive back for Calgary. Well, his son is in the draft, and he played at University of Calgary. He played boundary half, and he was a guy that when COVID hit, he went and played at the Ole Miss. So I mean, he's a kid that I think could come in and really help. A team. Grant McDonald, a kid from Calgary. I'm looking forward to seeing where he goes. Ackles, he always used to say, okay, where are we got to get a UBC kid for Smitty, because he's a UBC guy. 5 years there, so. And then we take one, and there you go, Smitty. You're happy now. So, I'll be looking to see what happens with regards to Laddick. And so specific guys I'll be watching to see where they go.
Don't worry. Jack Newman's been cramming Dean Leonard down my throat for a couple of years. So I'm infinitely aware of one Dean Leonard. And Jack, what a beauty he is at the UFC. Yep. Janelle in Saskatoon says, I wasn't going to watch the draft tonight, but guys, now you've got me super curious, so I will be a yes. See, this is the thing. People aren't interested about the CFL draft because they haven't heard anything about it. That's why we wanted to talk about this today. And my last question to you is, I don't know that we'll ever be what we saw on the weekend over 3 days with the NFL. We don't necessarily have to be that. But do you think that that it could be something that fans would want to attend live, Smitty?
Well, that's a really good question. You're probably talking to the wrong guy, because I would say absolutely. Let's get her going. I remember a few years ago, this was way back, they had it on TSN. They had the guys there. They drafted guys, just like the NFL, and then boom, they never did it again. But there's a lot of damn good talent, that is going to be in this draft. And a lot of people said, well, it's a weak draft, but they're going to get 6 rounds of good picks. And then there's going to be guys that, just think about those guys that were drafted. Some of those guys are going to get picked. There's amazing talent, and it would be nice to give those kids some love with regards to the Canadian Football League and promote that. And I agree with you, Rod. They got to get this going with regards to promoting and I don't know how many times you said how great a product it is. It's not the product. It's what happens off the field. So let's get it going. And the other thing is what about these owners? I mean, I've heard that some of these owners have just loads of money. Well, guess what? Now's the time that we need help. So let's get let's get rolling, and let's help this Canadian Football League out. Because you want a team, and you're going to sit on your butt and sit in the press box. Let's get going. Let's take care of business.
I'm with you, Smitty. You're a gem. Let's do it more. And from Army Brad, he says, great promo for the draft. Well, we went to the best. Craig Smith. Craig, enjoy it, man. We'll chat soon.
Thank you very much.
Our director of scouting, Craig Smith, two-time Grey Cup champion.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.